Hi, I'm Chantel and welcome to making pumpkin chili and cornbread on the Morris Microstead. So I know we're swapping over, or at least I know in the spring and in the summer my menus kind of flop over to a more seasonal menu, but I have pumpkin and butternut squash left over from my fall garden, and so today I'm going to use it up, or at least the pumpkin, up in our chili recipe, which we like to thicken up with pumpkin. So I'm going to start cutting up some veggies. I will list all of the ingredients in the description box below so you guys can access those easy, and then you can just follow along the recipe through the video. So I initially started this video and forgot to press record. So here we are halfway through cutting a pumpkin. So I don't know what variety of pumpkin this is, but I happen to like the variety a lot because the seeds grow with no hull on them. So they don't have the white shell. These are kind of mature. I wonder if there's some other ones in here. Yeah, you can kind of see they grow with no hull on them. So when you roast them, they're so crisp and they don't have that tough, fibrous seed hull on them. So we like them a whole lot. This isn't just super pumpkin-y pumpkin. It's very, very squash-like, but still we like the pumpkin a lot. And it's kept really well from last year. So let's see, what, October to now? October to March, October, November, December, January, February, March. So 5 months. 5 months it's kept, and it probably wouldn't keep much longer. So once you have your pumpkin all shelled out, we're going to drizzle in a little bit of olive oil. We're going to sprinkle salt and pepper. Oh no! Top fell off. We're going to turn those upside down. You're going to stab a few holes. Watch your fingers. And you're going to bake those for 40 minutes at 400 degrees. And I will tell you my secret, and that is my recipe for roasting all vegetables, 40 minutes at 400 degrees. I have not met a vegetable that doesn't roast perfect in that amount of time. And normally I sand salt on my roasted veggies because salt releases liquid and steams, and it doesn't crisp up as nicely. So salt afterwards, 400 at 40 minutes, all roasted vegetables, perfect. Next, we're going to chop our vegetables that go into this recipe, and we have a bell pepper, an Anaheim pepper. I like to use jalapeno or spicier peppers, but my daughter does not like things spicy, and an onion. I will probably double this recipe because I like to make a big batch, double it, and then especially with the pumpkin, and put it in the freezer. Y'all, that onion got me a little bit. Woo! Okay, so let's see. Last night I knew that I was making this dish because I plan my meals ahead of time most of the time. And let's see. soaked 2 cups of beans in water. I leave the water about, I don't know, an inch over, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So when I go to boil these in the evening, I'm going to drain them, add new water, and boil them for, I don't know, until they're soft. I don't know how long that takes. I'm gonna say like half an hour, 40 minutes. I feel like that's right. I don't know. You guys probably cook dry beans, you know. Also, sometimes I add garlic to this. I usually add garlic to it if I feel like mincing garlic. So I'm gonna go ahead and mince the garlic now. For you guys, we add garlic. I would tell you how much garlic, but just measure it with your heart. You know how much garlic you like. Okay, if you don't know the garlic trick, I'm gonna show you the garlic trick. You mash it with the back of the knife. This didn't mash enough. Yeah, you mash it with the back of the knife, and the skin just comes right off. Side note on the onions, make sure you save your onion skins for beautiful caramel colored bone broth. We toss them in a freezer bag in the freezer. You guys, I got halfway through this recipe and I realized I did not measure these ingredients. But let's do it anyways. I do know a roundabout. So this recipe started as a Pinterest recipe, and then it started as a blog recipe, and then it incorporated what I knew to be right in my heart. So, all right, here you go. Some of you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. Some of you guys are gonna think I'm genius. I don't care. I'm here for you both. This is how I spice, and it's kind of heavy, my chili. So, and it also depends on what, like the quality of your spices, because when I was buying a lesser quality spice, I needed a lot more, and then I started buying the Azure spices, and I need a lot less. So we're gonna do, and I just use a tablespoon measurement for everything. Not all of it's an equal tablespoon, but this is about how I gauge. So I'll do my best to like account for that in the description box when I post the recipe. So we're gonna do 3 kind of heaping not like overly heaping, but 3 kind of heaping tablespoons of chili powder. I'm gonna just load that in here, and we're going to do, I just like start with more and continue like down the line. So, and then 2 heaping-ish tablespoons of cumin. Is this cumin? And that's chili. Okay. I forgot to put the lids back on here. All right, we're gonna do 1 each heaping-ish of onion powder and garlic powder. It's not really heaping. It's like, you know, it's just approximate, I think is what it is. So, maybe approximate, but like more than, not less than. Of onion powder and garlic powder. I feel like minced garlic, like dried minced garlic, that would probably be so good in this. But then there's like chopped, or not garlic, onions. But then there's also chopped onions in this. So, and my onion powder is really sweet. It's really yummy. And then I've got a tablespoon of oregano. Making it all fancy in the bowl where you can see like all the separate ingredients. And then, I don't know, like, you know, like a teaspoon, more than a teaspoon. Yeah, like a teaspoon and a half of salt. Maybe that's a tablespoon. Between a teaspoon and a tablespoon of salt. It's a huge pot, you guys. This is a massive pot of, so there's this joke, and then like, I don't know, like a teaspoon of pepper. So, my husband laughs because I say a pot of. That's like my measurement of dinner. Like, oh, come on over and we'll have a pot of. Like, who's a pot of kind of cooker? Like, I'm like a pot of spaghetti or a pot of chili or a big pot of soup. Like, pot of is my like standard for cooking, especially for large like meals. So this is a pot of chili. That's gonna be like the recipe, pot of chili. I don't know. So I'm gonna show you this like beautiful, like that is probably like a cup of spices. It's a lot. I get that it's a lot. Just trust me. Like I've never had somebody not say, oh my goodness, this chili is excellent. So just trust me. It's a lot of spices. Chili needs a lot of spices. Okay, and then also I don't include it, but well, I don't usually include it, but a little bit of cayenne, like a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and red pepper flakes is really, really yummy in this. Again, I omit there because like toddler palates must be accounted for. So I am going to then saute the vegetables, and then when the vegetables are sauteed, we're going to add in the spices to smoke and cook before we add them into our chili. I'm going to do that a little later this evening. Wanted to get all these chopped, get that pumpkin cooked, so that I can just like throw it all together in a little bit. Okay, we have our pumpkin all done here. You will know your pumpkin is done and ready if you can like poke a fork through it fairly easy, and you can see this kind of caves in. And so here's Robert's trick, is he just mashes it like this. This doesn't always work for me. We're gonna try it. Oh, what? It works! Yeah! Okay, let me get my bucket. This is my scrap bin. Yeah! Alright. It's just like falling right out. Let me get my spoon. So we're just going to scrape all this pumpkin off the shell, which is really just kind of fallen out already. Give the rest of this to the pumpkin, or to the pumpkin. The Pumpkin King? No. We're giving it to the chickens. Alright. Beautiful. Hot! Let go. Okay. So Robert's trick, for the record, it worked well. He's gonna be like, I told you. So I'll be like, well, you don't have to do that. I never listen to my husband. It's terrible. He's so smart. He's such a good, handsome, smart man. He does all my editing. I'm gonna make him leave that in. Alright, done. So this pumpkin is just like chopped up. It really disintegrates in the chili, so you don't have to worry about it too much being just like kind of mushy. It's perfect because you're just gonna thicken up your chili. And this, I think I mentioned before, this pumpkin doesn't have like a super pumpkin-y flavor, so it really just really adds depth. And like, because it's kind of like roasted, it's like got this caramely flavor. Butternut squash is really good because then it's like sweet, and if you like a sweet chili. So I do. And that's it. We're gonna be all done with this. We're just gonna add it to our chili. It's gonna be fabulous. All right, so we're going to drain our beans and get those going. All right. Rinse those down. Ah! Okay. I have pinto beans in here, but we have used every single what is the word I'm looking for? Combination. Every single combination of beans. My favorite is pinto beans and kidney beans, but we don't need a ton of kidney beans, and I don't have any dry. I've got, this is from the Berkey, so it's nice and filtered. That's what I'm going to cook it in, and it's probably about 2 inches above the bean line, so that as it evaporates, it doesn't like cook down so far that the beans aren't covered. I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to put this to boil, and then we are going to start our ground meat. So I have 2 pounds of grass-fed ground meat getting ready to go into this pot. Once the beans are ready, we'll like cook it to where the beans don't have too much fluid. We're gonna add some tomato sauce, get all that going so that it's can simmer for the rest of the day. Okay guys, so I'm just finishing up cooking up that 2 pounds of ground meat. I turned my beans on high to kind of evaporate some of the water, reduce it down because the beans are like more than cooked. I am going to move this meat into my bean pot. We're going to start throwing all of this together. Okay. Love this huge cast iron pan. It is a pain to lift. Okay. And I'm going to leave, I lost a nugget. I'm going to leave some of this this fat from the ground beef in the pan. I never drain fat. I know I'm a weirdo. You're supposed to drain it or something. I don't. But I'm going to leave it in the pan, and I'm going to cook the veggies in that. Boom. Alright. We use our nice, warm cast iron pan. Oop, get back on there. And we're going to throw the veggies in here. Boop. This is the garlic Anaheim, onion, and bell pepper we cut up earlier. gonna throw that in here. With the meats and the beans, I'm gonna add 3 cans of tomato sauce. I'm gonna add the pan of pumpkin. And start mixing this big old slop of slurry together. This pot's not big enough. It is. It'll work. Also, I'm not going to add this in the recipe because I don't normally do it. Sometimes I add a can of like chopped diced tomatoes. I happen to have these Romas from my Misfits order. I'm also going to link, I think, my Misfits order. What is that? Interesting reflection. I don't know. I'm going to add my Misfits order. I'll link the video because Misfits is wonderful. We love it. And then also my Azure order because that's where I get all my spices, all my tomato, like organic, non-BPA line or tomato sauce. This recipe used to be called for tomato juice and then it would reduce down. But I just found organic tomato sauce is so much more accessible, and since we get it through Azure, I just like this recipe better using the tomato sauce anyways. Okay, frying up these veggies. Okay guys, this is the most important part of the recipe. Do not skip this part of the recipe. This is what makes it good. Okay, you're gonna fry up your vegetables and then you're gonna take your seasoning. Once the onion is like translucent and all the garlic is like fragrant, before these get soggy, you're gonna dump this entire, like all these spices into the veggies and you're gonna fry them up until they start to kind of like smoke and get like stuck to the pan a bit. You're gonna make sure all of these veggies are coated. Oh, it's hot. In spices. Oh my gosh, you guys, this smells so good. Spiced veggies. I just want to eat them. Yeah. Oh, I wish you could smell this. This is what makes chili delicious. Alright. Yes, and now it's nice and fragrant. You know it's done. I'm going to kind of like scrape it up off the bottom to make sure all the spices are going to make it into the chili. Oh yeah, that's amazing, yum. Okay, then we're going to finish that. Oh, I usually have my husband help me with this by dumping all that into the pot. You see it'll go from this bright red, tomatoey color. Hold on, please. What? Would you go talk to him? Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat down on this. And then we're gonna add these in. I might end up having to add just a little more of the chili powder. Yes, look at this, so good. All right, and we're gonna let that simmer for like, I don't know, as long as I want. Probably like, I don't know, like, hold on please, at least like an hour probably, but it can sit on low for 2-3 hours, and the longer it sits, the better it tastes. We'll circle back around when it's time to make the skillet cornbread. It's a dairy-free, gluten-free recipe, and then we'll have dinner. Okay friends, here we go on a gluten-free, dairy-free cornbread. This is a skillet cornbread recipe. First, we're going to start with approximately 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. I have the oven preheating. I'm just going to pop this into the oven. I don't have a microwave, so I'm going to pop this into the oven to melt. 1 cup cornmeal. Half a cup 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. Half a cup coconut flour. 1/3 cup coconut sugar. Half a teaspoon baking soda.
Dad, can you get hot water ice in here?
2 teaspoons baking powder. About 1/4 teaspoon salt. We're going to whisk that together. You're going to create a well right in the middle, and to that well you are going to add eggs, 2 lightly beaten eggs, 1 cup of coconut milk. Before we add the oil, we're going to go ahead and mix these ingredients. I took out the coconut oil and I'm going to go ahead and preheat my cast iron skillet in the oven. Add 4 tablespoons of slightly cooled coconut oil. So I want this batter to be just a little more runny, and so I'm going to add about 1/3 cup more coconut milk. The ingredients are distributed evenly, but it's a little clumpy. We're good. Okay, we have our pan, cast iron pan, preheated. I'm going to go ahead and put in our batter. I do not know where my rubber spatula is. My kids put away the dishes, and sometimes that means I don't know where my rubber spatula is. But it's cool. Okay, and we're just gonna kind of like move it around with our fork. It does look really loose, but I swear it bakes up. And like the more crumbly you leave it, the more like little crispity crunchies you're gonna get, which my family likes. And like also with the fork, I don't know, not that I normally do it this way, but with the fork you're gonna have all of these little like
ridges?
Yeah, ridges, surface areas, and those are all gonna crisp up too. You don't have to do it that way. I don't normally do it that way. I didn't plan well. We're gonna put this in the oven for 20 minutes.
How's it look?
I'm trying to decide. It looks great.
Oh yeah, because last time I told you to cut it in pie pieces and it was like huge, huh? Woo!
Dad! Dad! Strawberry. I hit you. Can you use those one? I have one. Can I have one, Mom? Give me one.
That is not how you ask. It turned out great. I'm really happy with it. I hope you are too. So the coconut flour like mimics a little bit the texture of corn flour. And so I think if you use straight gluten-free flour without subbing the 1/2 cup of coconut flour, you get a really cakey and gummy cornbread. But if you use the coconut flour, then it's perfect. It's really good. It's like crumbly and delicious, and I love it. I'm going to show you a picture of the finished product.
Quiet right now.
Wait, why are we having 6 bowls?
I need you to be quiet right now.
Alright, like I said, I know we've moved on to like being in the garden, but a few of us still have a couple of butternut squash and pumpkins we got to work through. This is the recipe that we use to do that. Love it so much. I hope you guys really enjoyed. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so you get notifications when we post new videos. And you guys, hope you enjoy that chili. Happy homesteading on all my roasted veggies.